The 2024 NFL Best Ball Summer is alive and well. We are off and cooking, and tonight we're going to see if we can take down super early the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship. $500,000 to first place. Cumulative scoring, scored the most points out of all these teams. We're going to see if we can do it right now at the beginning of May on Spike Week. Let's do it. It's a positive step from the Monday show when BBM launched, and I was on mute for the first 2 minutes of the show. So thank you guys who are here with me and can actually hear me this time. A great start to the 2024 NFL Best Ball season, but we are off and cooking. Drafters, which we are going to draft tonight, launched on Sunday. Underdog launched on Monday. DraftKings launched today on Wednesday. It's a beautiful time. It is a wonderful time. This is the best time. Honestly, right now and then like close to kickoff are the absolute best times in the whole best ball space. And tonight specifically, I'm really excited to dig into the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship, because it is certainly, if you are a fantasy football grinder, a best ball grinder, I believe it is the space that is kind of the most glossed over, despite the fact that there's it's a $2.5 million prize pool. There is $500,000 to first place. Both of the top two, first place and second place last year, were Spike Week sickos. Shout out to Dorito and Updog for taking down a total of $450,000 between the two of them in the Drafters Best Ball Championship last year. I am biased. I'm very biased, but I feel like we kind of run the drafter space around here, okay? Somebody's got to come in and dethrone the Spike Week clan. I'm trying to dethrone the Spike Week clan myself in drafts this year. I think if you look back, if you want to go take a gander back at, the content written and here on this YouTube channel for the drafter space last year, I feel like we were really getting a big edge on the field over at drafters. Why do you say that? It is a format unlike any other in the fantasy football space because it is cumulative scoring. What does that mean? If you've played on Underdog or DraftKings or even FFPC, right? They have what is FFPC is a little bit different, but they have sort of a similar structure, all of them, meaning they have what I like to call a playoff format. So you draft your team. You compete against those 11 they're 12-team leagues. You compete against those 11 other people in that draft on DraftKings, Underdog, FFPC. And you got to advance out of there and make it to the playoffs, right? The whole thing about the regular season is to make it to the playoffs. And then once you make it to the playoffs, you got to advance again in week 15, right? You get a small group of people depending upon the tournament that you're in, 5, 8, 10, 20 people in week 15. You got to do the same thing in week 16. Then you make it to the big week 17 final, and everything is all down to week 17. All the conversation that we've had here on this channel and many other content creators about how important week 17 is, and it is on those other sites. On Drafters, it is a different ball game. Week 17 is only one of 17 weeks that matter. Week 1 matters the exact same amount as week 17 does. Naturally, you might be able to make up more ground later in the season on Drafters because it's kind of a war of attrition with your lineup. But generally speaking, we're just trying to score the most points. And week 1, we have an opportunity to score points the same amount as we do in week 17. And so there's subtle nuances, but also a lot of similarities. And I think you can take applications from all the things that we do across our best ball space and apply them to drafters in a really smart way. And the folks around here, I believe pretty strongly, and the results have showed that the Spike Week sickos are doing a damn good job over at drafters and crushed it last year. Not only just the top two, Dorito and Updog taking down first and second, but the top 10 was littered with spike weakers. The top 25 was littered with spike weakers. It was pretty crazy. Couple of quick comments. Clancy, I see you. But Mad Sox, is there a giveaway? Yes, we're back. If you've been hanging out with us on Wednesday nights, hey, thank you. While you're here, hit the like and the subscribe button if you got a quick second. That's all that this show costs, right? It's free content. Just hit the like button. That's all we're saying. But every single Wednesday, and we got something coming shortly that's going to be even more fun in terms of drafters tickets. But soon after we get rolling here, I will post a link in the YouTube chat. So if you're listening to this after the fact, right, you're watching this show on YouTube tomorrow on your phone or whatever, you're listening to the podcast. This will be posted to the podcast feed on Spike Week. Subscribe to that. There's a link in the description. If you are listening to this after the fact, I know not everybody can make live shows, right? We all work and all that kind of, well, I talk about best ball, but we all have, responsibilities, family and such. If you can't make it, I get it. But if you can make it, you get a chance every single Wednesday from here until the season starts to win a free entry into the Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship, what we're going to draft here in a little bit. So it is a $15 entry. We will give away a free ticket to that every single Wednesday night here on the show after we draft. So we're going to talk for just a quick second about the Drafters format, and then we're going to hop in a draft. And then after the draft, we will give away a free ticket. So thank you for the question, Mad Sox. I will make sure to thank you for I was prepared to do the giveaway, but I did not have my spreadsheet pulled up. So thank you. I will pull that up while we are prepping. Two quick things. One, in terms of housekeeping, if you've not purchased our NFL Best Ball Almanac here, what are you waiting for? Also a link in the description. But specifically because B. Kurt, our guy, Bernie Kurt, here at Spike Week, just posted Monday a drafters, like kind of reviewing the 2023 drafters best ball championship in terms of like nobody ever goes back and like really, really digs in. We might look at the winning team or we might look at the players who were the most impactful, but nobody ever goes back and says like, here's what everybody in that drafters tournament is doing. How are they constructing their rosters? How many quarterbacks are they taking? How many tight ends are they taking? Right? Like how much does ADP value matter? Who were the biggest risers over the course of the tournament? Who were the biggest fallers? So many different things. And Bernie did an absolutely unbelievable job. This is one of the best articles I've read in terms of best ball analysis and breaking down a tournament. And that is in our NFL Best Ball Almanac. I forget exactly what the title is, but go to spikeweek.com. It's on there, or get the almanac. It's in the almanac. Over the course of the summer, we'll continually review some of those things that like the takeaways, I think, for the other tournaments can be a little bit uncomfortable. And this Clancy nailed it. Okay, so Clancy, for the audio listener, says, does anyone else feel like the analysis on Clancy, you set me up and you put it on the tee, and I appreciate you. Does anyone else feel like the analysis on previous seasons is way more valuable on drafters because we get way less insanity with pod variance in advancing? And not even just pod variance, right? So what is pod variance if you're a new best ball player? Well, it is you get randomly assigned, right? Into it's random in your 12-team league. You could draft a good team and just have two guys who happen to also draft amazing teams. You have a good one, but it's in third. It doesn't advance. But then, right, weeks 15 and 16, it's totally random. For instance, myself, I got 12th in Best Ball Mania last year. I like it. It's one of those where you're like, that was a great achievement. I'm proud of that achievement, but it was so close. I should have been probably top 5. So it still tilts me. And then it tilts me even worse because they changed the payout structures this year, and I would have made about $200,000 and I made like 10 last year because the payouts were all sorts of fucked up. But nonetheless, exactly what Clancy says, that variance in the playoff format, like we just talked about, is so chaotic that the teams that win are good teams, undoubtedly. good teams. But there's a level of variance that is hard to like totally put your finger on in like, why did this team win exactly? And honestly, for mine, I do feel lucky that I even got to the final, because if you recall last year in week 16, Amari Cooper went for 1 billion points. And I believe the pods in week 16 were like 18 teams, or 16 or 18 or 20, something like that. And you needed to get first. And obviously my team was good. It scored a bunch of points in week 16, but I did not have Amari Cooper. I would not have advanced in every single pod, certainly. And so I did get a little bit lucky to advance to the finals. I was like not drafting Amari Cooper. I advanced 2 DraftKings teams to the finals, and I did not have Amari Cooper on any of those 3 teams that made the finals. So in terms of pod variance, I got lucky there. And so as Clancy is saying, I do feel like this piece that B. Kurt wrote, I'm not going to dive into it because we're here to draft, right, baby? We got all summer to get really into the nuts and bolts, and we're going to release some videos, like some pre-recorded videos that'll dive really deep into some of that strategy stuff. But I feel like what Clancy said is totally spot on, where we can actually glean more from, and not even just the results, right? Like which players were the guys you needed, more so like is everybody in this tournament drafting? What did some of the better performing teams do? And sometimes it is a little bit of like, wait, what? That team did well. And that was when I posted that on Twitter that you can go check out after the show, where Bernie outlined a team that got 20th. There was the equivalent, let's just call it 90,000 for easy, rough math. There was 90,000 entries into the Drafters Best Ball Championship last year, and the team that got 20th overall. What an incredible feat, man. The 20th most points in this cumulative scoring format out of 90,000. Amazing. And if you go look at the team, you're like John C. Reilly meme, right? Like, excuse me? This team got 20th overall in a tournament? It had 3 quarterbacks, 2 of them were terrible. It had 3 tight ends, 2 of them sucked. It had like duds, multiple, like zeros, stone cold zeros, but just so happened to get the right combination of some of the hits. Didn't have Kyron Williams, didn't have Puka Nacua, but you got the right combination of all the other stuff. So when this guy has a bad week, this guy has a good week, and like it just had the right, combination of things to finish highly. And so I totally agree with that point. Let me make sure I post this. This is about as easy as it gets. I'm going to share this Google Sheet oh gosh, wrong button. I'm going to share this Google Sheet in the YouTube chat right now. If you're with us, go into this. It's a blank Google Sheet. Toss your name in the first column. So whoever starts it off, go in cell A, work your way down, and post your real name, username, I don't care, whatever you want to post in there. And then at the end of the draft, I'll spin the wheel. I'll put those names in to a random generator. We'll spin the wheel, and then you and I will sync up after. You can contact me on Twitter. You can contact me in the Spike Week Discord, which of course, if you're not in there, there's a link in the description, and I'll get you set up. We got a great relationship with drafters. I'll send them a note. I'll hook you up with the free ticket. We'll be ready to rock and roll. So I'll try to continually post that link throughout the show, just so if there's anybody that comes in, they can post their name in there. But what do we say? Should we draft? Should we draft? I mean, that's what we're here to do, right? Let's do it. Might take a second to fill, so might as well hop in and oh no, 11 more. Let me hit the folks up in the Discord, and we timed it very poorly. I talked for about 30 seconds too long, it appears. About 30 seconds too long. Oops. The life of streaming this. You get stuck at poorly and you're not paying attention, and you're rambling about Google Sheets, and you're rambling about this team that beat the ever living shit out of you in the drafters tournament last year. Got 20th. My best team was like 500th. I've talked about this. You want to talk about how crazy even like the cumulative scoring format is that I had I drafted about 50% Kyron. So I maxed the tournament last year. I drafted 150 teams. I had about 50% Kyron Williams in the Drafters Championship and about 40% Puka Nacua last year in this tournament. My best team got 500th place. So think about how bad you have to do to have let's just call it 75 Kyron Williams teams, a whole boatload of Puka Nacua teams, and this team that finished in 20th with Desmond Ridder and Irv Smith and Leonard Fournette and all these scrubs just dunks all over you. It was nice to see Beekert post that out there, but it also was like just a jab right to the chest. Sorry, I'm posting this in the Discord so the folks can see. Excuse me. While we're waiting, lots of Sky Moore. No, oh wow, we're up to 7. Nice, you guys are the best. We are. Paulino says it's going to be a friends and family. That is a fact. When you're the first person into the room, it's going to be all of us drafting together, which is funny because we naturally, want to have, the fish and the, all of that in your. I totally agree with that. But there is also something to be said for people in your draft. Like you guys will probably target some of the same guys I will. So I'm not going to get like mega screaming values on like in this draft, right? That's going to start in a few minutes. I'm not going to get the mega screaming values that maybe I would hope if I was drafting off stream or you guys were. But also there is something to be said for drafting in a draft where everybody's going to kind of like stay in their own lane a little bit more in terms of, look, I set up a Cowboy stack. I got CD. I took Jake Ferguson. Like, you're not incentivized to take Dak Prescott, right? Like, Paulino's not incentivized to take Dak Prescott in that draft. Jonathan, who says I'm taking CD 101 this time, is going to be incentivized, but the rest of us aren't. So I'm not going to steal Dak Prescott from Jonathan. Maybe he can even push him. He's at the 101. He can manipulate the draft a little bit. I think that there are pros and cons to the whole like sharp draft room type. Yeah, this is also true though. This is also true. Melch says, or we're extra incentivized, right? To tilt the living shit out of me while I'm sitting here. That's true. That's true. Shout out Al. Al says I finished 14th last year. That's amazing. Do you have your team? I would love to see it. Dude, for whatever that's worth, you're saying for whatever that's worth a lot, my man. 14th out of 90,000 teams. That's amazing. That's an incredible accomplishment. I know that you're like, damn, I wish I would have, got top 3 or something to make 6 figures. But dude, like them's the breaks. Like it's a small swing one way or the other, and you could have been right up there. 14th out of 90,000 is unbelievable. Like I said, my best team was like 500th place. I wish I had 14th. I wish I had 14th place. And no, Hoosier said lots of Sky Moore. No, I didn't draft any Sky Moore last year. Zippo. But my biggest take, especially on drafters, it was on all formats. I love these guys. But on drafters especially, it was Lamar, Mark Andrews stacks. And Lamar was great, but Mark Andrews got hurt, and that killed so many. I mean, I had to have 35% Mark Andrews. So that killed me. Obviously, if you guys watched anything last year, or even if you didn't, Rashad Penny, Damian Harris, Sam Howell was good. So Sam Howell was good especially for drafters. Sam Howell was really good. But like the Washington receivers were bad. So if I tried to stack, Curtis Samuel's fine. But if I tried to stack with Sam Howell, that was bad. I'm trying to think of some other. I definitely had too many other situations that just didn't work out. And then look, we think about 150 teams as a large amount, and it's not a small amount. But even still, right? Okay, 50% Kyren, you got 75 teams. You drill that down. All right. X amount of those have Mark Andrews, dead. In cumulative scoring, for sure dead. X amount of those have Rashad Penny and Damian Harris and whoever, dead. And like you just like start to whittle it down, and like even with 75 Kyren Williams teams, it's like 5 to 10 good ones at best. At absolute 10 is reaching. So let's say 5. You got 5 good ones. Then still, like, do they have Mostert? Do they have Achane? Do they have, which did you take Cup? Right? You took Cup on the Kyren team. That seems logical. Ram stack, right? Nope, dead. You took Jefferson. Congratulations, you got the 101 and Kyren Williams. You took Jefferson, dead. Like it's tough. That is one of the big differences between the two formats is maybe, right, you can survive the Justin Jefferson missed 6 or 7 weeks or whatever it is. Possibly. I'm not saying it's easy to survive, but you might be able to survive with the right combination of players around Justin Jefferson to get second in your regular season pod. But on drafters, it's over. Like the moment he misses a month, it's over. Also wasn't on Tony. I mean, I shouldn't say I wasn't on Tony Pollard. I had some, but I drafted mostly 0 running back teams, which people would say, well, that's the problem. It was just wasn't on Rashad White, and didn't have. I was on the Dolphins, didn't have the right Dolphins combos with the Rams. Like I said, didn't have Rashad White. That was a killer. I think Rashad White was a pretty big killer. You see him show up a lot on top teams from last year. I'm trying to think. Mike Evans, another good one. Didn't draft a lot of Mike Evans. Too much Seattle. I was pretty into Seattle. That was bad. Like Metcalf was okay, but JSM was bad. Lockett was bad. Geno was bad. The running backs were bad. Like I was pretty into Seattle. And like I said, the Washington wide receivers are bad. So the more you tack on, right? It's like, Jesus, you hit on a few things, and the big hits can carry the big losses. Like you said, the 20th overall team had like half a dead roster. It really only had like 10 guys, but you still need to, right, at over 150, just 2 more. By the way, if you guys are watching, you would like to join this draft, 2 more, just 2 more. Side note, shout out to drafters. It's May 1st. Is it May 1st, right? Yeah, May 1st. And we're over 3,000 entries into this tournament. No, Hoosier asked. Nope. I definitely. So there was a stretch where my plan on drafters specifically was go in and try to take Kyren, Puka, and Tutu on every team. Was like part of my plan. But so partly knowing I'm taking 2 wide receivers at the end, partially informs some of your early decisions. And so then sometimes I am taking a little more early running back than I typically prefer. I'm doing some different things. Like I said, I was piling on Ravens, I was piling on Commanders, I was piling on Seahawks, and that was the problem, not so much the Puka Kyren stuff. You Talk Sports, shout out. I'm in on drafters. I like this. Clancy says, the drafters launching so early light a fire under DraftKings, but I don't know what lit a fire under DraftKings, but shout out to them for giving us even more. All right, we're full. Beautiful. There's another thing. We would not have been able to see. This is why you do this. This is why you stream these drafts. For the audio listeners, we got the 101. This is why you call in all the people to come join you, because you just know you're going to get the 101. I knew it from the beginning. I sucked you all in. to my web so that I can not take Christian McCaffrey. So Scrappy Coco, I hope you like Christian McCaffrey because you're about to get him at the 102. Exactly. This is how it should be, Al. I agree. You were the first to join the lobby. Only fair you get the 101. I agree. I like this. Yeah, I kind of like the turns too. It's certainly better for streaming because I get to like wax poetic about whatever nonsense that I want to talk about for 10 minutes and then come back, and then we get to have 2 picks, and then you have those 2 picks to talk about for another 10 minutes, and you come back on the it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Exactly. Oh, Clancy is Scrappy Coco, and he's not taking CMC. Moxie, our good friend Moxie, resident sicko from the Spike Week community, sitting in third, only his second drafters draft. I know he just recently signed up. Maybe today. Was it today? I think. And we're gonna see if we can. I don't know if Moxie's going to take CMC knowing him. He might, but knowing him like I know him. Ralph Wiggum, we know Ralph Wiggum, our good friend from the Discord. Melch, obviously. This is very much an entire friends and family draft. And I'm taking CeeDee Lamb first. And so how far will Christian McCaffrey fall? Question of the day. It's only a Spike Week draft if Christian McCaffrey falls further than everybody else. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen anywhere else but here. And people watching who are not normal Spike Weekers are like, these idiots are going to let CMC. Okay, so Moxie took CMC. So we're good. We're not going to get banned for letting CMC fall to like the second round or something like that. But like I said, the non-Spike Weekers that may be watching are like, people pay for advice from these people that are just letting Christian McCaffrey fall. That's crazy. That's nonsense. While we're waiting, I know this is a drafters show. You can get our drafters rankings, of course, from within the Almanac. Again, link in the description for the Almanac. I posted a new piece today. I'm going to try, honestly, for the next several days. I got a billion different things I need to write up for the Almanac, and they'll be in there. We're going to record something, I believe, on Friday. Bernie can correct me. He gets to boss me around on Friday mornings. And we're going to get we're about to be rolling. If you haven't bought the Almanac, I can assure you that it's already littered with content, and the rankings are up for all 3 sites. All 3 sites meaning Underdog, DraftKings, and of course here where we're drafting drafters. They're downloadable. Grab the CSV, upload them to here. I think I have a couple of tweaks to make because I thought I was really, really high on the guys that I liked, and some of them are insane risers. Shout out Lab McConkey, shout out Zamir White, and such. And so I have a couple tweaks to make, but generally speaking, they're still good to use. I can't believe I'm going to move Ezekiel Elliott up quite a bit in the rankings. Again, I thought I was being aggressive where I put him. I was wrong. The market also likes Zeke, which is a nice change. It's a very nice change from last year where the guys that I really liked were just relentlessly falling all summer. And it's tough. It's tough to like stick to your guns when the guys that you like, you're like, yeah, I loved him at 125. And then you get to August and he's going at 155. And you're like, fuck, man. Do I just keep doubling down? And I did. Utah Sports says, just discover drafters from your live stream. I'd say this to anyone who will listen, which is probably not very many people, but anyone who will listen, I'm telling you, if you are taking best ball serious, you have to play on drafters, in my opinion. It is an incredible site. The experience in terms of drafting is awesome, and the format is different. So everybody's starting to get used to, there's still new people coming into the playoff format. No, even the people who say they're like, I wish it was just, oh, my really, really good team lost in week 15. I wish it was just, I got rewarded for that, right? I wish it was cumulative scoring. They'll come over to drafters and they're still lost. I think we have a huge edge. Like I said at the top, I believe pretty passionately, there's a reason why the people from the Spike Week community keep crushing over here is because we established like various different levers that we can pull that are edges, basic roster construction, of course, some little player takes. We were able to get lucky and pile on the Kyrens and the Pukas and the Dolphins guys and stuff. Of course, there's plenty of misses, but when you hit on Howell and like I said, those other players, it's such a huge edge. And also there's like, even the drafters folks will tell you this tournament's probably not going to fill, right? So there's going to be overlay. It's all the best of everything. And so if I didn't have this relationship with them, I would still promote it. And that's not true for a lot of, if I'm being completely honest. All right. We are very much in a wide receiver room because a lot of these third round wide receivers just got pulled up. Luckily for me, I still love Malik Neighbors and DJ Moore. So we're good. We're good. This is absolutely hilarious. Tyler says overlay makes me hard, and his best finish last year was on drafters. That's amazing. This is also great point. I like them too because I feel like not everyone on drafters is up on full PPR. Right. So yeah, like if you come over from underdog, it's a very different game. Full PPR versus half PPR is like, it's like borderline not the same game at all. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, like last year, I struggled with it because, as I mentioned, two of my favorite running backs were Rashad Penny and Damian Harris, the antithesis of PPR, full PPR running backs. And I struggled with how to balance the fact that I love those guys on underdog and I love them like from a total macro view, like for the season and the ceiling case they provided and all that kind of stuff. But they're not PPR players. Like neither of them are probably going to catch passes at all. So where do you value them? And admittedly, that's probably like, why did you suck with all that Kyren and Puka and Howell and Dolphins? It was probably because I even myself didn't apply well enough the PPR elements. But that being said, I feel like every offseason, every winter, and early spring, I do a nice retrospective on everything that all the takes I had, the process, the teams I drafted, and all that kind of stuff. I feel really good, especially on drafters heading into this season. I think we've established a pretty good assessment of the market. I think this year there's just a couple of ways that you can draft that are so strong for the drafters format, and that's what we'll be putting out in the almanac. That's what we're putting out on this Wednesday show. Every single Wednesday we'll be here drafting on drafters. Which reminds me, I know I said I was going to make sure that I posted the link. There's a bunch of people here watching the show and not enough people who put their name into the giveaway. I just posted the link to the Google Doc. Again, go in there, column A. You see the other people have put their name in column A. Put your name. I don't give a shit. Your username, your fake internet name, your real name, whatever you want to put in there. We'll spin the wheel after the show and give away a free ticket to this tournament that you're drafting in. So a $15 free ticket every single Wednesday. This is what we'll do. We'll chop it up for a minute. We'll hop in a draft. We'll give away a free ticket. Wash, rinse, repeat. Everybody wins. We get to have fun, hang out, draft a team, and somebody gets a free entry into it. Sounds fun to me. That's great. For what it's worth is apparently you guys need to stop justifying your amazing teams that you drafted. Who said this earlier? Was it Hoosier? Al. Al says, "Oh, I finished 14th on drafters for what it's worth." Andrew, I finished 20th in the regular season in BBM for what it's worth. Like, don't say for what it's worth. You fucking crushed it, man. Like, that's amazing. Like, be proud. So I hate Patrick Beverly. I'm not a fan. But there's a great clip from his podcast that came out today. the Bucks. So if you follow the NBA at all, and I don't expect that anybody is or whatever, they beat the Pacers last night, beat the shit out of the Pacers last night with no Giannis and no Damian Lillard. And he's basically, the long story short, the point of what he was trying to say was celebrate your wins. And I couldn't believe in that like more than anything. Making a career out of DFS and sports betting and best ball now, it's like when I have a win, even if it's small or it feels like oh, like I can't like post this on Twitter or whatever, it's like you should still celebrate it. You don't have to like to the Twitter sphere, but I want to. Oh, Andrews is gone. Ralph, I really want Lamar. Damn it. I don't want to let Ralph get. Right. I know Rashi is going to fall. So this Rashi is such a difficult assessment. He's not going to fall in this draft when you guys are going to take him. But over our 150, I'm going to take Kirk. Over the course of this tournament, Rashi's going to fall. So I'm going to scoop my Kirk. Now, I haven't drafted. I've drafted 4 BBM teams. What is this? My 4th drafters teams, and I got 2 DK in today. And I don't. And I like Christian Kirk. I have him above ADP on all the sites, I believe, and I haven't gotten any yet. So it's nice to get some of that. You can see. Let me close this a little bit. You can see here, I'm obviously using our draft hacker, the Spike Week draft hacker, as I highlight on my screen. So you can see, I believe I uploaded my 4 teams onto here, or my 3 teams before today onto here. So like you can see, I have 33% Kyle Pitts. I hope I wasn't lying about the Christian Kirk. You would have seen it on the screen if it said 0. But you can see my exposure right on your screen. So and then so with the draft hacker, you can display whatever the hell you want on here. Eventually, it will show over here where my mouse is the playoff schedule, or not the playoff schedule, but like matchups along the way. So if you want to see how many game stacks you have, right, you can optimize for the amount of different game stacks and matchups and all that kind of stuff you get over the. I'm going to try to use that a lot more this coming season, right? So Baltimore plays Cincy twice a year, but Baltimore also plays Houston, and I'm making this up. And Houston plays Cincy, and they both play the Lions, and like you can figure out a way to massage your team so you actually have like a ton of game stacks over the course of the entire season. I'm going to try to focus on that a little bit more. And then over here, I just have like my exposure, and then my exposure with the second number here is my exposure with my quarterback, my first quarterback drafted. And then this third one is my exposure with my first round pick. And then the fourth one is my exposure with my second round pick. Those are the things, those are the player combinations I'm constantly trying to massage. Who do I have with that? My best, because my first quarterback is my most important person, right? Generally speaking, not most important. My most important quarterback. And like it drives stacks, right? It drives, did you take an elite or did you not? And then my first and second round pick are kind of driving a lot of what's happening through the course of the rest of the draft. So I like to see, have I taken, like, right? I took CeeDee Lamb. Do I have this guy with CD yet? Obviously, I'm only on my 4th team. So through 3 teams, I don't have any CD yet. So you're not going to see anything on here. But I love getting to, right, if I got to a spot where there's 2 wide receivers who I like close enough to each other, but one I have on 50% of my CeeDee Lamb teams, the other I have on 0% of my CeeDee Lamb teams, I'll take the guy that's on 0% of them, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't want to flip over the cards in September and be like, why do all of my CeeDee Lamb teams have Mike Evans and none of them have Malik Neighbors? Like, that doesn't make any sense if I like both of them. This is good. This is a good take from Al. Drafter scoring on pocket passing quarterbacks is very harsh as well. It's your standard 0.4, so 1 point for 25 passing yards, but it's -2 for interceptions. And there's so DraftKings, if you played on DraftKings, they have a bonus for 300 yards, and it's only -1 for interceptions. But even if it was -2, you could say, all right, the pocket passers will offset a little bit of the interception risk with the 300-yard bonus because that's 3 more points, right? I can offset some of that. But on drafters, that's not the case. You don't get bonuses for more passing yards. Of course, you get points for more passing yards. But if you're like Lamar and who of course I drafted, if you're like Lamar and you don't really throw a lot of interceptions, but you are a little bit worse with passing yardage, this is a great format for you. And I think those little, right, that's a micro edge. At the end of the day, we still want passing and all that kind of stuff. We do want the guys who are not necessarily throwing interceptions. All right, I don't have a tight end yet, and I'm mega big on elite tight end. So Kittle looks excellent here. This goddamn screen is pissing me off though. So I'm definitely going to take Kittle, but oof. Let me think about this now. I don't love these running backs. I don't want to double dip quarterback. Shout out to B. Kurt for making sure I know that. But I don't like Ken Walker much. I don't really like Addison much. There's got to be something here. Let's roll JSN. The JSN click before you're like sighing and the eyes are rolling into the back of your head, it doesn't make me feel comfortable either, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. It doesn't make me feel comfortable either, but I do think there's reason to believe, like, second year, he came on, he didn't come on like super strong from a fantasy lens down the stretch, but from like I got on the field, I started to earn more targets, I ran a lot more routes, I became a bigger part of the offense. That did happen in the second half of the season for JSN. Tyler Lockett's gotten a year older. I think it's feasible that we feel really foolish at the end of 2024, the fact that we were taking JSN higher than this in 2023 as a rookie. And I don't think it was necessarily wrong to take him higher than this as a rookie, but we did that. The market said, all right, he's valuable because he's a stud. And then we threw him to the side, even though there were like some small indicators that he was like emerging type of a situation. He didn't come on like Amon-Ra did as a rookie, but in terms of like role, it was I don't even want to say this necessarily out loud, but like emerging down the stretch better than maybe the perception is giving him credit for. And he's still, a 7th round pick, so the market isn't dunking on him. I don't want to, again, talking about flipping over the cards in September, I don't want to flip over the cards and have like no JSN is really kind of my stance. And so when I got to the spot where I'm like, I'm not a Ken Walker, like he's fine. Ken Walker's fine, but I don't love him. I don't love Kamara. I don't love, I didn't want to take, I really like Kyler Murray. I didn't want to take Kyler Murray, and he doesn't make sense on this team. No Marv, no Trey McBride. It's just like you get to that range. I want to default to what, when I throw my hands up and I say, I kind of hate everybody. I'm struggling a little bit with what to do with that pick. I want to default to really talented wide receiver. That's like number one. I don't want to default to, I'm just going to take the running back because he's at the top of the list. I don't have any yet, right? Like this team, I think that's what people will do. They'll say, oh, you don't have a running back yet. You don't like anybody here. Just jam the running back. That's the exact opposite of what I want to do. I want to, when all else fails, take the talented wide receiver. Oh, interesting. Schmo says, once I heard BBM had no regular season payouts, I transferred my money over to drafters. That's interesting because, a lot of people I didn't love what they did with Best Ball Mania, but I do understand like the people that want the regular season payout. Like I totally understand that. So you're going to love drafters. If you liked the regular season payouts on Underdog, I think you'll crush it over here, man. All right, I'm way behind on the chat. I apologize. Hello, Grady. We love you. Thank you. Every time Grady comes in with the LFG, fire, fire, fire. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this is so true. No matter the size, it's dude. A W is a W. Why play? I'm being totally serious. Why play all these games? Right? Like I play a lot of DFS. I still sports bet. I got destroyed yesterday. Shout out to the Pacers. But and shout out to what else did I? Something else. 2 things in the NBA last night. Brutal. But like what is the point? If your entertainment is essentially, wagering on something. When it comes through, it could be something like incredibly interesting. All right, so this is why you don't force the running back at that JSN pick, because we come back around and now we're in the sweet spot for running backs. I love Najee. I love Jalen Warren. I can't believe I'm saying I love Najee out loud. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. Here we go. Najee and Zach Moss. And I love it. What a time to be alive that I have built this team where Najee Harris and Zach Moss are my first running backs, and I love it. I can't believe it. But look, adapt or die, man. The range, this is my sweet spot. I'm living in the round 8+ running backs. They're all awesome. If you prefer Warren to Najee, I got no problem. I love Warren. I'm going to have a ton of Warren. I'm going to have a ton of Najee. If you prefer Chase Brown to Zach Moss, guess what? Love him too. In the rankings, let's look at this really quick, actually. Let's look at this. If you go to the Almanac and you look at the rankings, we go to the rankings. We go to drafters. I believe in the overall rankings, but we can filter it down for running back. So look at this. This is 100%. Najee Harris, 85 overall. Jalen Warren, 86 overall. Zach Moss, 87 overall. Chase Brown, 88 overall. 4 in a row. The reason why I'm doing that, right, is to basically say I love all of them. I like Najee a tiny little bit more than Warren, but I understand people that like Warren better. I like Zach Moss a tiny little bit more than Chase Brown, but if you like the other one, flip them. We put them here because the point is take them. These are 2, in my opinion, 2 of the most advantageous positions you can make in best ball is the Steelers running back room and the Bengals running back room. And so I took, obviously, Najee and Zach Moss, but I think just take all those guys, man. Just take them. And it's a cheat code. It doesn't make sense that those guys are going in that rounds 8+ to me. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Amen to this. My NBA playoff best ball hopes reside on the Knicks for sure. Like if the Knicks lose this series, it's over for me. It's over. But I really ideally need the Knicks and the Pacers to advance. Which team are you again? You Talk Sports. I used the 12 spot. I think you said the 12 spot. So let me run the team. Drake London, Marv, Jacobs, ETN, Rome, James Cook, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Dak, Caleb. So I would not have taken. I understand the ADP value with Dak. Totally get it. But I would not have. I would. Let me think about this. We'll talk it through out loud. If I had Ferguson, I would take Dak. I don't know that you can double back. I guess it's interesting. You could double back for Brandon Cooks and or both one of the late round wide receivers, if you prefer Jalen Tolbert or Ryan Flournoy, their rookie that they drafted this year. I think it's okay. I would ideally prefer, like, if I'm going to get first out of 100,000+ teams with a Dak Prescott stack, it probably has CD. And even if it doesn't have CD, it probably has Jake Ferguson. it's possible it doesn't, but I find it's one of those I find a little bit hard to see how the Dak team doesn't win if it has at a minimum Ferguson, and Ferguson is strictly because he's a tight end. So I think I would have passed, but I don't think it's out of the question to backstack Dak Prescott. And then Caleb, I mean, I like Caleb. Oh, Caleb Rome. You have Caleb Rome. That's fine. That looks good. That's fine. Clancy, do you have Clancy says that's who's been stealing all my bills. Do you have Alan, I assume? Yeah. Yeah, got all the Bills stacking partners sniped. All right, back on the clock. Ooh, I do like B Rob. So we're gonna cue B Rob, a zero RBer's dream. Oh boy. This is gross. So I'm definitely taking B Rob. I know that for sure. God, I hate Eckler. I can't. I just can't, guys. I can't do it. I can't do it with Eckler. I apologize to the Eckler stands. What? Who do I have on? Oh, we could add Gabe. I might add, I think I should. Right. So you see Gabe lighting up in green. The beauty, this is the goddamn beauty of the draft hacker, is I'm kind of struggling with what to do there, right? I don't like Eckler, and I took Brian Robinson, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to take both of the Washington running backs. I don't like Gus Edwards, especially we talked about the full PPR format of this. Like, I don't want Gus Edwards. I don't really like Gus Edwards, period, but I don't want Gus Edwards on drafters at this cost, at least. Cousins doesn't make sense on my team. Tua doesn't make sense on my team. I don't really like Tajay. Tajay's okay. But I don't love Tajay. I don't want Chubb, right? I don't want Palmer, etc. You start working your way down all of these guys, and you're like, I don't love them. And then boom, the draft hacker says, oh, you see this guy, he's in green. And you're like, why is he in green? Oh, I have Christian Kirk. And so even though I don't have Trevor Lawrence, I can still stack a team without that quarterback, or stack a passing game without that quarterback. And when he lights up in green, it's like, look, I'm human, just like we all are. I'm going to screw up drafts. I'm not going to see every angle of every single player. And, I feel like I'm a quality drafter, but I'm not perfect. And so the draft hacker just being like, hey, dum-dum, you should think about Gabe Davis. Doesn't mean you should take him. It's not saying you have to take Gabe Davis, but it's saying, what about this guy? Like, think about him for X reason, because he correlates with your team. And I think he made a lot of sense on this team. I like this. Shout out Tyler. Please like the stream, or the feds will raid Erik's house, seizing all his fantasy takes so they never see the light of day. I let Tyler come. Tyler, we're live on Mondays at 6 p.m., Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and then we're bringing back Legendary Sickos, I believe, on Friday morning. We'll see. It's going to be a tight schedule. Pat's got a baby, and I got to go to one of my nieces. Like, she's very young, like a early school graduation. So Friday we're gonna try to pack a Legendary Sickos into there, and we got a couple other things in the works. Tyler, come back and post that on every single one of these videos. You're the man. I like this too, Corey. I keep going, like, I think I'm trying to conceptualize the thoughts going through my brain around this. Is like, it's funny because I think it's probably an overall market perception talent downgrade. Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones to Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas. But like, for best ball, now it's cheap. And it's so clear. What's beautiful about the Jags is that it's so clear everyone's role and how they fit into this equation, right? They brought in two. I mean, there's almost never been a more fitting two outside wide receivers who your job is to make big plays on the outside, stretch the field. Well, the Chiefs and the Jags both did this, right? The Chiefs have Hollywood and Xavier Worthy. You're really fast and you're really good at running down the field. Do that. And then we have Rashi and Travis Kelce. The Jags are the dollar store version of that, right? They're like if the Chiefs are Louis Vuitton, the Jags are Target. But who doesn't like Target? I'll take the Target version of that offense, right? I think this shirt is, as a matter of fact, this shirt is from Target. So, look, we're rocking with the Jags today because we're going to go to Target and we're going to get the cheaper version of that offense where it's like there's these two downfield flyers, there's this quarterback who's fine back there, and then there's Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram doing their underneath thing. Like it's so clear and obvious what everybody's role is. And it all fits. And we can see conceptually the pecking order that it's like, it's beautiful. And so I'm in on the Jags. They're 100%. It seems like there are so many options to stack with Jags. Yeah, but that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Oh my God, Nick Chubb, huh? Oh God, am I going to draft Nick Chubb? I might. I think I'm going to take my first Nick Chubb chair. Nick Chubb chair? Chair? Share? I love lamp. Okay, hold on. First of all, I'm taking quorum because I have to sit here and ponder this. Shit. I kind of think he's like it makes me sick because I don't like him, but I think he's a good pick on this team. I really do. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. It makes me legitimately sick. I like this though. Some might call this a soft fade. I wouldn't, but I would like to call it a flaccid fade of Nick Chubb. But I'm not really interested in Nick Chubb. But sometimes guys fall to a point where your priority targets are gone and they do fit the team. And I bought myself some time with Najee, with Zach Moss, with Brian Robinson to my concerns about Nick Chubb wane a little bit. Like, hold on. Let's do this again. Let's go to the rankings. I should know these off heart, but like, God forgive me, it's May 1st. I don't even know my own rankings. They're not memorized. Okay. So forgive me, but let's look. I mean, I'm shitting on Nick Chubb and I have him 3 rounds ahead of where two rounds. I have him 2 rounds almost 2 rounds ahead of where I just drafted him. And I don't like him, but like such is life, man. Sometimes, right? There's people joke about, and this isn't always true. Some people will say there's always a right? There's always a right price for every player, and that's bullshit. It's not totally true, but it's like conception. It's directionally accurate, and this was the right price for Nick Chubb. But I had to take Blake Corum first because I had to. I can't just like snap call Nick Chubb. That's not good for the brand. It's not good for the brand. the soft fade and that whole conversation coming up on Nick Chubb is epic. John says soft Chubb. 145 is the half PPR points he hopes and prays to score this year. Yeah. I mean, clearly I agree. Paulino says at 145, it's fine. At 145 on a 0 running back team, it's fine. It is. I've been acting like a Nick Chubb hater, and I have him like right at ADP or something. So when he falls, or I have him a little after ADP, right? What is his ADP? But I mean, 145, man. On a 0 running back team? When you already got these guys, what are you going to do? I think this is the winning team, by the way. I can't believe we did a friends and family draft and you just let me get this team. That's good. It's a whirlwind of The draft ended on Saturday. I spent the next 36 hours figuring out rankings. This is no shit. All right, hold on. I gotta refill my my drink here. I spent the next 36 hours. So my wife and I went to the zoo. Okay. It was the most epic, incredible zoo trip I've ever had. Every animal was out. I live in St. Louis. We went to St. Louis Zoo. Every animal was out and like walking around, like engaging with the people, and it was unbelievable. Like normally we love to go to the zoo. It's like one of our kind of like side passions. We both love animals, and it's a great place to go. Just casually, it's a ton of fun. Anyway, it was unbelievable. Get back from the zoo, and I'm like, this was such a great day. And I'm watching the NFL draft, and I'm like, God damn, I gotta like sit and figure out all of these rankings for the rest of the day. Like I got like 30,000 steps in, saw a ton of animals. I'm so happy. And then I'm trying to figure out where the fuck to rank Nick Chubb in fantasy football for this year. So I finished the rankings on Sunday, close to midnight or something like that. Cause I try to be thoughtful and pay attention to detail, knowing that they're still going to change, but I want them to be reasonable the first opening weekend. and then you get to Monday and it's like, what just happened? Like, I don't even remember, I don't remember anything of where I have anybody ranked. Like really none. I couldn't tell you where Chubb was ranked, where anybody's ranked. All right. We're back on the clock in the 14th round, 14-15. I really should do a better job planning ahead. I'm going to say Burton. Again, you see him lighting up in green. A little secondary stack with Zach Moss. Not a big deal, but it's kind of like a helpful little deciding thing. And then I'm going to take Jonnu Smith. If you're in the Discord on Tuesdays, I think it's just going to be Tuesdays moving forward. We do what we like to call the lab. So at 6 p.m. Eastern, anybody that's in the Discord, I post a link to, it's just a Zoom call. But I try to keep it within the folks that are in the Discord because those folks, like all you guys, have been unbelievable. Like we're on year 4 of this journey with Spike Week. I cannot believe it's year 4 of this whole thing. But I'm trying to keep it within there. I want to keep it free. And if you want to come hang out and just talk shop about best ball, the lab is amazing. Honestly, I'm learning more than I'm doling out to these people, and we're just talking process and talking, it's spitballing. Like you don't have everything figured out, but you have 10, 15, 20 other people who are passionate about this game, and we're just on a Zoom call. It's like we're at a happy hour, and we're just like, well, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this strategy? What do you think about this? What do you and we keep spitballing on it, and it's amazing. And I'm touting it because Jonnu came up, and the more I think about Jonnu is like, if I'm going to be in on Malik Washington, which of course I am, as you guys know, I'm not. Malik Washington's not getting drafted by the fucking Dolphins, and I'm gonna fade. We're taking Stan, baby. But Jonnu feels like one where he's priced at a cost because it's been like awkward for the last couple of years. But like when he left Tennessee and he went to New England, he went ahead of Hunter Henry. The market said, this is the guy. Hunter Henry's like, old and busted, and Jonnu Smith is new hotness. And clearly that was not the case. It failed in New England, and then he went to Atlanta to like revive his career, and then he buried Kyle Pitts and like made it weird. And he signed a 2-year like fairly reasonable contract reasonable in terms of like he's making some real money to play for Miami. And it feels like people are like, yeah, but Durham Smythe didn't do anything, so we can't get too excited about Jonnu Smith. And I feel like there's not a lot of late tight ends to get excited about. And like this dude's on the Dolphins, man, and he was great on the Titans. Shit, he was great last year with the Falcons. And so I'm gonna get overweight Jonnu. I haven't figured out exactly like my plan of attack around him specifically, but I think that it's something I'm like a little bit focused on here early on. Yeah. When you're saying, sometimes when you're saying the quotes, even you don't remember. Dude, I'm one of those disgusting people that quotes like movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff all the time. Hoosier said an MIB reference. That's the new hotness thing that I said. He said that MIB reference. Nice. My wife hates it, dude, because I'm constantly quoting movies and TV shows, and then I'll ask her like, "Where's that from?" You know, like if I would have said the MIB quote, old and busted, new hotness, and said and asked her what, she never knows, ever knows any of the quotes. We could watch the movie 100 times. We've watched. I appreciate her for this because I enjoy the Marvel whole series and stuff like that. We've watched the Marvel series fucking 10 times, and I could quote one of the Marvel movies. We've watched The Office a million times. We watched Parks and Rec a million times. I got her into Entourage. We've watched Entourage. I'll quote all of that. She never knows, never knows any of the quotes, ever. So I'm going to say them to you guys. It's just a long story short. All right. We still got Lamar. We're done at tight end. We're sitting all right. Round 16, round 17. Obviously, you need a quarterback at some point here. I'll touch on kind of what I'm thinking about quarterback, because I'm not going to force it here. I want to make sure I get some of my guys at running back. So I'm going to take Estime. I wrote up a piece today about my top rookie targets. Now post-draft, and Estime is on there. Yuck. I don't have any Luke McCaffrey yet, so I'm going to take Luke McCaffrey. And that'll close out my wide receivers. Kind of crazy you can get a guy who went in the third round with like no playing time competition in Luke McCaffrey. And I wasn't big on him in the pre-draft cycle. But I'm definitely taking him. I mean, at 193, with the way rookies are priced nowadays, shit. Troy Franklin went the fourth round to the Broncos, and he goes 50 picks ahead of this guy. And I like Troy Franklin. I don't even think that his price is bad. But Luke McCaffrey goes 193. I'm pretty in. I'm pretty in on that. Did I say it? Did I make an anchor? I don't even. I say Lion says I appreciated the Anchorman reference earlier. I talk out of my ass so much, and there's so many like dumb references and dumb quotes that come out of my mouth. People probably hate it. I just assume that people don't like it, but like I didn't even know I made an Anchorman reference. Oh yeah, I love Lamp. Yeah, you're right. I did say it. That's a good one. Oh man, Corey says, Yeesh Samaje, I thought he was such a smash on 0 RB teams last year. Didn't we all? How dumb. Like when you think about it in hindsight, you look back to last year, you're like Samaje Perine, like really? Samaje Perine at an elevated cost. Samaje Perine, Bengals Samaje Perine in the 17th round was one thing. 11th round Samaje Perine on the Broncos was like, and dude, I did it. I stepped right in that trap. But it just feels so bad looking back. And again, shout out B. Kurt. If you don't have the almanac, you got to get it. It's worth if you're playing on drafters, it's worth it for the article Bernie wrote. And he outlined, he even put in like the highest. Samaje Perine was one of the biggest risers in the whole tournament. And he put some key takeaways in there. And one of the key takeaways is the rookies are the biggest risers. And it's 100% true. He's spot on. Because like the whole list of biggest ADP risers in this tournament that we're drafting in right now, it's all rookies, right? So if you want to draft right now and you're worried about your guys rising to where you can't get them later, draft the fucking rookies because they're going to rise. But the outlier on that list, who was one of the biggest risers that wasn't a rookie, was Samaje P. Ryan. Like, how wrong were we all of us, about him? Incredible. This is great. This is great. Now we're just quoting all of the best movies. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I respect this though. Al says my fandom, and for those listening and not watching, Al has literally the Cincinnati Bengals logo as his avatar on YouTube. So preface by saying my fandom for the Bengals had me drafting P. Ryan way too much on Denver. I get it, man. I get it. Do you know one of the first that it was this? So, all right. So I don't know if everybody knows this either. I'll tell the story after and we're about to pick the 18th and 19th round picks. I'll make those selections and then we will. All right. I do need a quarterback. And oh shit. Damn it. I was hoping Fields would be here. I really do. We're gonna on the Jag stack, and now I got to think about what to do at quarterback. I think I'm gonna kick that can and just maybe add Minshew to it at the end. But I want to get I want to get my guy Jawar on here. I won't dive all the way into the Jawar Jordan stuff. I understand he was a 6th round pick. He's small. He didn't run fast. But check the almanac for the Jawar Jordan breakdown. And then yes, I totally understand. I only have Lamar Jackson at quarterback. We'll talk about solo quarterback strategy on a future video, and we'll talk about pushing quarterback 2 as well. Bernie outlined that really, really, really well. At the end of the day, I still am going to have some form of starting quarterback probably available to me in the 20th round. I'm cool with that. If I only have Lamar Jackson, that's not ideal, but I'm also cool with that. But so Spike Week started from I worked for Roto Grinders, and I still do stuff for Roto Grinders, the DFS site. And I had the idea 5 years ago when immediately after Best Ball Mania 1, we're on Best Ball Mania 5, right? Or so 4 years ago, right? I had the idea that I was like, I think Best Ball is the future. Shout out to me for a good take every once in a while. I was pretty sure that Best Ball was going to blow up. So I pitched the bosses and I said, we should have a Best Ball site, right? So Roto Grinders is owned by a bigger company. They have a sports betting company. They have tons of websites, right? DFS, sports betting, season long, blah, 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 blah. Action Network is owned by the same company, Vegas Insider, etc. And so I was like, we should have a Best Ball brand. We should start one. They were like, that sounds good. Do it. But like, go run with it by yourself. We're not going to give you any resources, but try it out and see if like people are interested in this. So I did it, but I was starting and I was mostly a project manager at the company. I wasn't a big content creator back then. And I mean, I'm not an awesome content creator now, or, or YouTuber or whatever you might want to call it, but I have enough reps to where I at least feel like comfortable bullshitting with you guys. Back then I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm sitting with literally MacBook camera. My AirPods were my microphone, or it wasn't even AirPods back then. It was the Apple headphones, whatever, off, just so bad. The first video I ever did to talk about the Best Ball stuff was about Trey Lance and the 49ers. Awful, huge L. But the second one I did was about like contingent value running backs. This is my first W. And Samaje Perine was on the Bengals back then, of course. And I was like, in these drafts, Samaje Perine and not even getting. Joe Mixon was a first or a second round pick, and Samaje Perine wasn't getting drafted. It made no goddamn sense. Nowadays, right, we're all up on that. That's not a thing that happens ever. But back then, the world was different. You know what I mean? Like, the best ball space was wild back then. The backup running backs maybe wouldn't get drafted. People loved the starters and hated the backups. And so I was like, I think Samaje Perine is one of the best picks in all of fantasy. So he has to Al's point, he has also had that place in my heart as well. So I've kind of always liked Samaje Perine, and I think that played a little bit into my bias last year. Yeah, exactly. Jawar led the ACC in rushing yards. He had 2 kick return touchdowns, a 98 and 100-yard kick return touchdown. He was awesome in zone running schemes, which is huge for Houston. The reason why Dameon Pierce struggled so much with Houston is they moved to a zone running scheme with I don't know how to say, Bobby Slovic, their offensive coordinator. They kind of changed schemes. That's where Devin Singletary thrived and took over that job, and Dameon Pierce struggled. And Dameon Pierce is not good in the pass game. So if you're not going to help us in the run game, Dameon Pierce is useless. So he lost that job. And look, I'm not saying Jawar is going to be anything at all, but I feel like it's at least a mildly intriguing fit. Exactly. Here's the guy you should draft. He was drafted in the 6th round. He's 185 pounds and he's slow. Welcome to my TED Talk. All right. So the question now is, do you take stacked Russ or Howell, or Derek Carr, or Gardner Minshew? And I'm going to take Minshew. I'm just a believer in Vegas, in the Raiders. But I'm not sure that there was I don't think that's even really worth talking about that much. If you prefer Carr, if you prefer Russ, whatever, I don't think it matters too much. But let's run down the team. Yeah. Beaker says, I just got here and I see Erik is now Nick Chubb stan. Yeah. Rewind a little bit, Bernie. I'd prefer not to talk about it. All right, I'm going to run down my team. Then I'll hit you guys a couple teams in the chat, and then we'll get out of here. And then we'll do the giveaway. Yeah, we'll do the giveaway. If you haven't entered, so you got a couple seconds. I'll post last chance to enter to win a free $15 Drafters Million NFL Best Ball Championship ticket. We'll spin the wheel in a second. My team: Lamar Jackson and Gardner Minshew at quarterback, Najee Harris, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum, Nick Chubb, RIP, Audric Estime, Tank Bigsby, and Jawar Jordan, ACC rushing yardage leader in 2023, Jawar Jordan. CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Gabe Davis, Jermaine Burton, Luke McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Jonnu Smith at tight end. You're going to see me, if you draft with me in drafters at all, this is how a lot of my teams are going to look. I'm going to take a ton of 2-8-8-2-0 running back teams. I feel pretty passionately that this is, if I could draft and I can, so I shouldn't even frame it this way. If I could draft 150 of these teams and get the different combinations of the players that I like, I think it's probably really, 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 really plus EV. Every draft doesn't go how you want. I did draft a 3 quarterback team already out of my 4, but I tacked on Justin Fields to I think I had Jaden Daniels and Minshew and Fields or something like that. So I did something kind of crazy with that team. But let's see. Utah Sports 20. Oh my God. So Utah Sports says, what do you think of my 20th round super sleeper running back? And he took Imani Bailey. Did you watch the show on Monday, or did you happen to listen to, I'd have a show on Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio on Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. I talked about Imani Bailey. So I'm in on the Imani Bailey thing. That's so funny. That's so funny. Tyler says, is Stover Stroud's former tight end in town? I like Stover. He's fine. I prefer other guys, but I like him. He's fine. I think he's draftable. Yeah, I was on. Jack says, heard you talk about Bailey. I'm not going to get out over my skis, but he's very much in the Spike Week rankings. He's not like super high, but we got him in draftable range. I think he's worth some darts. Like we're at this point in the offseason. It's tough, man. I just drafted Jawar Jordan. Like the late rounds at running back is tough. The late rounds at any position is tough. I think he's worth some shots. Grady says, are you all the way out on Dameon Pierce this year? We can talk about this in a future video to give a little more context. It is in the post I put up there in the almanac today. I wouldn't say all the way. I would say right now in May, I would prefer to bet against Dameon Pierce and then adjust. I don't want to draft him making the assumption he is the backup just because he's the name we all know. In June, when we start to get more information, in July, when we start to get more information, in the preseason, when we have an understanding of what the pecking order looks like, I'm happy to readjust. And I think that's the big thing, right? This is what happened. This is what happens every year with tons of backfields. It's like it may not go according to plan, but everyone is betting that Dameon Pierce, right? He gets drafted in most drafts. He is the second Texans running back selected in fantasy drafts. I am not at all sold that is the case. So I'm a little more happy to swing the other way, knowing like, look, the downside is he's a zero, but guess what? The downside is for Dameon Pierce. He's a freaking zero, man. Like I'm not super worried about it, but I'm always going to try to readjust when we start to get more information. You guys were awesome. We are going to spin the wheel, which I didn't have pulled up. Oh my God. This is horrible streaming. Random name, random wheel. What the? This is terrible. This is awful. I'm embarrassed for myself. Wheel of names. Here we go. All right. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, wow. There's a lot of names in here. Shout out to you guys. Hot damn. There's a lot of names in here. This is impressive. These Wednesday shows are going to be fun. It's May 1st, man. It's May 1st. Big money, no whammies. Yes. Andrew asks, any interest in 20th round Madison? Yes, but don't tell anyone that I said that. He's in the rankings. It's gross. Just don't tell anyone. All right, here we go. For a Drafters NFL Best Ball Championship $15 ticket. The very first one, by the way, of the actual best ball season. We're spinning it. Let's do it. Oh, Lion won. Lion, if you're with us, I think you get 2. You have 2. I owe you 1 already. I think this is 2. I got it. Fun fact, I have a meeting with the Drafters folks tomorrow. So you're all going to get your tickets tomorrow. Or wait, Ian, I assume that's Lion. And you, and do you legitimately have 2 tickets already? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Shout out to you. Thank you for joining. And I will, of course, Nick, answer your question before we get out of here. If we purchase the NFL Best Ball Almanac, does it come with the draft hacker that shows us player exposures like you have on your screen? It does not. Totally reasonable question. I understand why you would ask it. They are 2 separate products. We have our because the tool subscription comes with the draft hacker. It comes with Draft IQ. It comes with our ownership projections. It comes with any form of tools that we have behind the scenes, and they're usable in any sport, in anything you're drafting in. Essentially, you can use those tools to draft and track your exposures and draft. We have a ton of different customization options for you in the Draft Hacker. The Draft IQ does so much for you that we do keep those separate. And then the almanacs are what I like to describe them as is kind of like draft guides or draft kits, if you will. So it's a one-time fee. We're not right. It's not a monthly thing. Like as you're using this, you have to pay more. That is what the tools are. And the almanacs are kind of a one-time. Here you pay this and you get all of our strategy and rankings for the rest of the year is kind of how we've structured it. Totally fair question. But definitely did want to hit that because I understand other people probably have that exact same question. We got to get out of here. This was a ton of fun. We'll be back every single Wednesday. Myself, maybe a guest here or there. Rob will be back on Sunday morning. If you would like to have a fun hangout, maybe some brunch, some coffee, a mimosa on Sunday mornings, and draft some best ball teams, Rob is there. Rob and myself are back every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I'll be here with you guys on Wednesdays. That's the show. This was a ton of fun. You guys have me super pumped for this best ball season. I appreciate you. See you next week. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.